Swag out them boss. Look, is that bow tie
And what's
pays
going
me?
on, everybody? It's another edition of the Sartorian Geek Podcast by Webster Style, where we talk about bow ties, comic books, and everything in between. I'm your host, Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance. Now, let's jump right into the download. This week's download is one that really, at the time of this recording, the news just dropped a couple hours ago, and it's exciting and unexpected, and it's a game that is loved and hated at the same time. It is NBA 2K24. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's my pick of the week. We are halfway through the basketball season, and the surprise news came out today that NBA 2K24 is dropping on Game Pass on March 11th. So this is probably the first 2K game I've played or would have played in a while. But it is a great move for 2K as well as a great move for Microsoft and Game Pass to put this game out on Game Pass to really get more and more people playing the game. So I think one of those things with NBA 2K, with these yearly sports franchises in general, while they sell a lot, I think a lot of people just don't go back every year to buy them. So to get one that check for Microsoft is a good thing, but also to get more players, especially since it's a game that has become so heavily reliant on microtransactions, I think is a good idea for everybody involved. So that's my download of the week, NBA 2K24. Let's jump into, it's not really a short takes because this is pretty sad. We lost probably one of the biggest influences, biggest reasons a lot of cats in the US got into anime, especially my generation. Now, I am not one of those people because I was in anime long before Dragon Ball Z dropped and really became popular, but so many more people came into the world of anime, especially blacks. There was something about Dragon Ball Z that just resonated with the black community at that time and still to this day. And unfortunately, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, all the iterations, Akira Toriyama passed away last week at the age of 68. It's weird to think he was that old, of basically blood clot in his brain, which is, I don't know how painful that is, but just a sad way to go. It's hard to really quantify his influence in anime. Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball before that is a series that I'd heard about back in high school, so it predates it really airing on that Toonami block that really was really where it gained popularity. But it was always one of those series that I heard talked about when I was in high school, when we were passing around VHS types of movies and series that we had, those that had those sort of fan subtitle stuff direct from Japan. You know, you wanted to get your hands on that to see exactly what it was about, the stuff that you couldn't buy in video stores at the time. And Dragon Ball Z was one of those hot commodities then. And Dragon Ball never really took off in America. I remember being in syndication around the time when I was in high school, if I remember correctly. But there was something about it, the timing of it, when it hit Toonami in the, what was it, late 90s, early 2000s. It just blew up and it became must-see television. So many of us during that time in our lives, younger and older, like myself, like I said, I was in grad school at the time. And Akira Toriyama, just Dragon Ball Z was just so synonymous with what anime was and really brought so many people into the medium. But he also was a creative director on many video games. The RPG Blue Dragon that dropped on Xbox 360 back in the day, as well as he's been the creative director for many of the more recent Dragon Quest video games, both on the current systems, previous systems, as well as like the DS and the 3DS as well. So he has a long history of lending his ideas, his views to the world of anime and video games. And he is someone whose influence is definitely going to be missed as we go forward. So, like I said, it's not a short take, it's a sad take. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama-san. your legacy, your work will live on, and it's something that for many of us have changed our lives. So, so that's that with Akira Toriyama. It's just sad to think that it's funny as you get older, it's more and more of the individuals who shaped your life start passing away. It's almost a reminder of your own mortality, and also a reminder that to cherish your youth or remember your youth. So it's really awesome in that regard, and sad as well. So speaking of youth, let's jump to an interview I did pretty recently with a young woman who gained national, if not international, infamy and fame when her extra life was discovered on the internet. And we're talking about the retired police officer turned adult vixen, Bella Lexi. Check out this interview, and then we'll be back. Then, probably nationally known at this point, Lieutenant Bella Lexi. Bella, how you doing today?
I'm fantastic, and thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. Now, one of the things I wanted to really ask you, so you were a public servant, you're a police officer for almost 30 years. First of all, what was it like being a police officer, especially a lady police officer at that?
It was very rewarding and challenging at the same time. I think that a lot of times things that don't get recognized for women in law enforcement is
Mm.
we do have to work that much harder to prove ourselves and to prove to our partners that we can do our job and we don't need a big brother to take care of us on calls. Like we can handle our own. So I think that's the one thing that doesn't get acknowledged. But I
Right.
was super proud to have been in the top 3% of women in my field in the United States when I
Awesome.
retired. So it was a long road. It took a lot of work to get to where I was, but I was very proud of that.
Okay. I've always wondered that because that's in an atypical field for women, but it definitely different pressures involved being in such a demanding position. Again, we all have our own sort of environments, and certain jobs do are there are different circumstances, different people. And so I was always curious, like a job like that, especially on women, what sort of different pressures does she face compared to a guy in the same position? So it's always curious to me about jobs like that because we all react to things differently, and it's dictated by who we are, how we grew up, what sex we are. Like there are a lot of different things, both internal and societal, that kind of work on us in that regard.
For sure. And I think, the other thing was I made a lot of sacrifices with my kids. For a long time, I was a single mom. And so it's hard to balance career and kids. And when the opportunities come up, you have to take advantage of them. And there were a lot of sacrifices made for my family to pursue my career.
Hmm.
Uh, whereas, like, most men in the field have a wife at home or a
Right.
girlfriend at home who can help with the kids and be supportive. And I did a lot of that while I was single.
Understood. Now you retired, but you retired in transitioned at the same time into a different line of work. And with that, you gained a bit of national notoriety with that. How did that spotlight impact you as far as from a personal perspective, and maybe more importantly, your new career endeavors?
Right. So actually, my story went international.
Oh, international. Okay.
Initially, yeah. So initially, it was just going to be here in Denver. And somehow it was leaked to some international media outlets in the UK. And they actually took the story and broke it before local media did the same day. And
Wow.
so by the time I woke up that morning, everyone around the world knew my story and the messages and on my social platforms, messages from family, friends. Like it was it was life changing. It
Understood.
is one thing to have maybe thinking your local media may run a story, and yeah, my personal business is out there, but to wake up and have it well known everywhere was it was intimidating. It was overwhelming. uh, I wouldn't have been able to survive it all without my amazing husband who supported me through it all. So uh, to go from being no one to here I am,
Right.
but I will say that for the most part, the media coverage was very positive.
That's good.
And there were some negative things, of course, that came out, but I think in the long run, the positive nature of it all really kind of allowed me to somewhat explore the other avenues and pursue this career, and pursue some of my own understanding of my sexuality. And I think realizing that women can be honest about it, be forward about it, and not have so much societal judgment as maybe there would have been had this happened 20 years ago,
Right.
So I think that that really kind of lessened the blow.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, and I say, not that you're not a regular person, but you know, you are a regular smuggler person, you know, mom, husband, you know, you work this job that you dedicated your life to.
Mhm.
What enticed you to explore the adult industry by, you know, dipping your toe, so to speak, into OnlyFans?
It was just kind of a COVID thing, which I think happened for a
Mm.
lot of people. My husband and I were home, like I wasn't working as much off duty, things like that, and we'd always had this kinky side to us, and so it was kind of like, well, let's just put some stuff out here and just see if there's any kind of interest, I guess, for lack of a better explanation. And certainly I was never expecting it to be anything, crazy. And then like the more people who were following and were interested, and I was just like, okay, because here I am, a girl who goes to work and I wear men's clothes and men's boots
Right.
and I wear gun belts and I run a jail. And to be viewed in that light was I guess it was flattering, and then when it was discovered and then staring down losing that 28-year career, it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to embrace it because what else am I
Right.
going to do? Like everyone knows my name,
Right.
everyone knows my face. Uh, and so it took about 6 months for everything to shake out. And that was when I decided to look into working in the mainstream adult video arena. So it just kind of seemed like a natural step to pursue it. I was like, if I'm going to do it, I should just jump in with both feet.
Understood. The point the sort of phrasing you really illustrated with regards to, you were really in a sort of male dominated masculine field where in many respects you had to mute or subdue your own sexuality and femininity, and by dipping your toe into this, exploring this, it allowed you really to let go of, or at least express some things you didn't really get to express in your normal life. Is that a pretty good assessment of it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, I still was feminine,
Right.
but I would wear makeup and I would do my hair. I mean, I always wanted to look professional. But then to really be able to just kind of explore that without any judgment, because I think as a woman in
Right.
law enforcement, um, there's already enough stigma to it that you kind of want to downplay some of that
Right.
and be professional without sex being a part of it.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that's,
Yeah, I guess there's a degree of being taken seriously in your
yeah,
profession. Yeah, I
exactly.
understand. So
Hmm.
you go into OnlyFans, you know, you everything checks out, 6 months, and you just dive headfirst into it.
Hmm.
What was it like for that to become your full-time gig after being in law enforcement for so long?
It was exciting and it was a challenge because I was now working in a field I knew nothing about. And so I was kind of at everyone else's mercy as far as how does it work? Who can teach me?
Hmm.
I was lucky to have run into a lot of amazing women who would take the time to answer my questions
Hmm.
and kind of teach me the way. And but I was like, maybe I don't even get picked up to make adult movies.
Right.
You don't know. And so when I found an agent and within I think it was 8 days I was on my first set, and it
Wow.
was intimidating.
I
You
can
know,
imagine.
I flew into Arizona. I get picked up by a car service. I'm driving to this, what looks to be less than um, safe neighborhood.
Hmm.
Like I'm driving into this kind of scary neighborhood in a car, and then we pull up to this beautiful home, and I'm like, where am I? Like, what vortex just sucked me in, you know?
Right.
And I was met with some amazing directors, producers, makeup artists, like just everyone was so professional and so respectful. And I think that that kind of lessened some of the nerves and things like that. And just being able to laugh and joke. And they asked about my story, and you know, they're like, this is so crazy, like you're so famous, and then you're just getting started in this. And I was like, don't look at me as famous. Like, I'm the girl who shovels my neighbor's walk when it snows. Like,
Right.
you know, I'm just another person. I'm just exploring something that I think could be really great for me.
Understood. Understood. That's fascinating. That's something that I picked up on a lot in a lot of these interviews is the professionalism and the welcomingness that many have encountered when coming into the business. And I think that's really something that, people not in the industry don't really think about as far as it. There's an air of professionalism. There's an order of things. I think that some just see what happens on screen and they don't think about everything that goes into it, how people have to conduct themselves, regardless of what you're doing on screen. There's still an aspect of being a professional in whatever business that you're in, and I'm glad that that is literally like a common theme throughout all of my interviews. That individuals watching really get a chance to understand that, hey, there is, a component to this that's, so much more than just what you see on the screen.
Oh, absolutely. And to have people who are willing to take the time to help is priceless, you
Mhm.
know. And I don't claim to know everything about the adult industry. I'm starting to know more. I've been in it now, uh, doing mainstream shoots now for a little over 18 months. I still have so much to learn, but I'm also honored when someone reaches out to me and it's like, hey, I know you just got started in this. Can you help me with this question? Or it's cool to be on the other side of it, to be able to help people too. And granted, my knowledge isn't that vast, but for people to reach out and actually be able to answer some questions is pretty amazing.
Right. Now, let me ask you this question. You're a woman of a certain age. You had a career for almost 30 years prior to this. Jumping into an industry that is so dominated, at least optically speaking, by youth and beauty and a certain sort of look, was that intimidating for you getting in?
I would say a little bit, but I think I also kind of know where I fall into that.
Okay.
Uh, I know I'm a MILF,
Right.
you know, so I think,
Hmm.
uh, and having supervised so many younger people who came into the field, I felt somewhat comfortable being around people who were in their early 20s. So it
Hmm.
wasn't so much of a difference. I mean, yeah, I was learning from them, but I think that I kind of knew my place,
Understood.
and I wasn't trying to be younger than I am. Look, I'm 48 years old. I'm proud of it, you know? And
Mhm.
so to know my to know my role and understand that, I think was just life experience in itself. And I think that kind of made it a little bit easier too.
Right. I understand. Speaking of MILFs, I understand that you have a new scene that plays a lot on your previous career where you're doing some arresting. Let's talk about that. How did that come about? Like, what's going on with that scene?
First and foremost, I had a great time shooting with Team Skeet, who then my movie ended up on MILF. And so basically, when I talked to the director, he's like, we kind of want to incorporate your real story into this adult film. And they did a great job, I think, including it and adding a bit of humor to it and kind of
Mhm.
letting me explore some of that as well. And make it somewhat factual. So I think it just kind of allowed that story to come full circle and kind of gave me the outlet to, in a very basic way, kind of share my story and put my own spin on it along with the script that that we came up with. So I think it worked out really well. And I am actually very proud of that video. Like, I think it was some of my best work, honestly. And I don't know if it's because I kind of had that personal spin to it, or if it just was I'm at that point where I'm becoming more comfortable.
I would say
Yeah.
it's probably both. I think a lot of times it's even just with what I do here, when I do things or am able to be a part of things that are very personal to me, you tend to just even subconsciously just kind of give it a different oomph
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to when it speaks to you in that way. And also, you're more comfortable the more sets you're around, the more teams you're around. Just like kind of like I said before, you're getting better understanding of your own sex and sexuality. And I think that you only grow and get better with, especially in your field, I would imagine. I don't know for sure, but you would, get used to what you do and become better at what you do. I've just talked to just many of adult entertainers, and that's a common thing, like where they started based on where they're now and how they understand more themselves and how they understand the business and the camera angles and the production and really being able to be a part of everything. So speaking of that,
Mhm.
what are your long-term goals for your new career?
I have always been very goal driven. I want to start my own studio. I want to continue to be a part of a positive change in this industry. Like, I know there has been, maybe some not so good stories and not so
Right.
good experiences. And I want to be able to be in a position where I can offer women the same experiences that I have had in the industry. I want it to be safe. I want it to be fun. And I want them to be able to have something to take away from it as well. And I think that just the relationship that I have with folks in the industry now, and then life experience and things like that, I think I really have a lot to offer for that. So I think, ultimately, I'm not going to be able to shoot adult movies forever. I
Right.
know this, right?
Right.
So how do I turn this into maybe a legacy or something that I can pass on to my own kids? And I think that that's going to be somewhat the route that I think kind of gives me that full circle experience in the
Right.
industry.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Nina Hartley did it for quite a long time. So
About
uh,
you.
you never know how long you could go as long as there's a demand for you. That's all that really matters.
Yeah. And as long as I'm enjoying it. And that's what I always
That
tell women. I'm like,
that's yes.
if you don't have a passion for it and you're not enjoying it, then get out. Like, get out while you have a soul.
Right.
And it's kind of the same thing as law enforcement. Like, when your time is done, your time is done. And as long as you still have that energy and that positive outlook on it, then keep
Hmm.
doing it. And yeah, so maybe I will be 60 and doing that. I don't know what the future holds.
Right. Well, the studio sounds good. I don't know why when I was looking up some things about you. I don't know why I saw first time director, but I think I misread whatever I've read. I'm like, oh, she's directing them. That's cool. But you
Yeah.
saying a studio just it makes sense. It's something I saw. Maybe it was a
Mhm.
premonition I had or something like that
Oh no,
through.
you saw that. Yeah, I
Oh, I
did
did.
direct.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh,
did direct a film that I did that was not mainstream, but I shot with a mainstream porn star, Ariana Star.
okay.
And so I had directed that uh scene and came up with the idea and things like that. So I'm really starting to dabble in
Okay.
what exactly my role will be in that.
Mhm.
And so yeah, you did see that press release.
Okay. All right. I thought I was, because I
Hmm.
went back before we started and I said, okay, I know I saw it somewhere because I
Yeah.
want to ask about that, especially how, in this case, I would just ask it, like, how is that process of going behind the camera and, directing the scene compared to actually being in the scene?
It is different, and you have to think of a lot of different things. Not only what am I doing, but what are they doing? What is my camera person doing? What is the lighting? There's just so many other things versus just getting in front of the camera, which I'm not saying is easy by any stretch, but
Right.
it definitely challenges the mindset behind it for
Un-
sure.
Understood. I've just, as someone who loves film, I've always loved the eye of the director and how, like, you kind of see it in your head, and then you have to visualize it or contort the, well, in this case, actually contorting the actors and actresses in the way that you want them to be on camera to really express their artistic vision. And then it's such a symbiotic relationship working with the actors and actresses to really have that captured properly on screen. I've always loved that process.
Well, and to also kind of include how they see things,
Right.
because you want to get that genuine feel and that positive feedback, and you want to create something amazing. And I think that that's part of what I want to develop with my own studio and my directing as well, is let's include their opinion. Like I
Right.
might be missing something. Like I
Right.
said, I don't know everything, and sometimes people have some really great ideas that should be incorporated. So
That's awesome. Now you have been nominated for several awards. Currently, was it you're up for at the XBIZ Awards, Female Clip Creator of the Year, Female Premium Social Media Star of the Year, MILF Clip Creator of the Year, and MILF Premium Social Media Star of the Year. All those are mouthfuls. How does it feel to be recognized by your community in these nominations?
it is very humbling. Um, so I went to AVN. I was nominated for a Fleshbot of Award, Fan Award, and I didn't win. But just to sit at that table with these amazing, talented women was very overwhelming. And then to get this similar MILF nomination for AVN and to actually go, I was so emotional. Like, might even get a little choked up here, but to know that your hard work is recognized by your fans
Right.
and recognized by people in the industry, and just the relationships that I've had. I mean, I got to do a TikTok with Brittany Andrews, who was nominated for the same award, and I'm like, vote for her. She's like, vote for
Right.
her. Like, so it kind of brings that family feel to it. And even though
Mhm.
it's competitive, I think just to be in that group of amazing women, I can't even begin to express, to have a seat at that table, how amazing it is.
That
Yeah.
is something that I think I've been very, again, people are people, and people have differences, and you're gonna have cattiness, you're gonna have people don't like each other, that's just people. But one of the things that's really amazed me is, and you're not the first person to say this sort of family feeling and camaraderie in the adult industry. It's particularly ladies. I haven't gotten to many men yet. I will be soon. So I've been very amazed at that, at the collectiveness of it, and whether it's on trans women or cis women or what have you, it's been very refreshing, and how everyone openly speaks about it. It's not like they are just saying it to save face. It's really genuine, the sort of level of respect that you have. Like I was talking to Tifa Quinn, and how even before she got in the industry, she just loved Abella Danger, was just so happy to get a chance to meet her. And it's just, that is just so cool. And again, not being in the industry, I don't think many people would think that it operates in that sort of function once you get into it. And that's really exciting for me to see that. And also it humanizes everybody too. And I love that aspect of it. It's like everybody's human. It's a reminder that everybody's human. They are not just what you see on the screen, and like they have souls, and they love, and they feel, and then by them having this common experience, they bond together and support each other. And I love that.
Absolutely. And you can celebrate everyone's wins, and you can
Right.
celebrate accomplishments. And, working in law enforcement, I always used to say, female cops will eat your young and spit them out if they think that it's going to get them ahead. And so
Mhm.
it's so competitive among women in the field. And so to now be in an industry where we're supportive, and, we understand that there's enough to go around for all of us, and you don't have to be that way. And I think that was really one of the biggest eye-opening things for me, is just to see that level of professionalism.
Now, I'm not sure a question, and I think your viewpoint may be a bit different with someone who came into traditional routes. One of the things that, again, we're both, I'm 45. I'll be 46 a couple months. So we're not too close in age. We remember a time in the industry where it was very much come in, you get churned out. You get new crop of starlets. Every 6 months, 2 years, or what have you. So that's why I think many people would be very stuck on that sort of old mentality, especially us older folks. But how much do you think the direct to consumer model we have now that's kind of sidestepping the studios plays a part in adding to that camaraderie? Because there is now, you're not fighting to get a studio contract, you're not fighting to be on this video cover. There's literally enough for everybody because you can go directly to your potential consumer. How much do you think that plays a part in this camaraderie now in the industry?
I think that it's very significant. And I think that also what it does is it affords talent to then create content separate from your mainstream shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So, in addition to shooting with someone on a mainstream set, then later that day or that weekend or whatever, you can get together with that same person and create something that you can both sell on your own platform.
Right.
And I think that builds that relationship, it builds that trust, and it builds the instruction to one another and that support and things like that. Whereas before OnlyFans and before a lot of that, not only did talent not really have a way to do that and build that with one another, but the fans didn't have access to
Right.
their favorite people either, like they do now, where they can send
Right.
a message and actually speak with that person. So I think that it has really changed the industry for sure.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I've seen as well. Because I remember just growing up. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland originally. So there's the I guess adult area of the block where the strip clubs were and the adult video stores. And if you wanted something, that's the only place you really could go to get anything like that. And now, and you were also, and this is the thing about just streaming in general, whether it is um, traditional streaming, YouTube, OnlyFans, mini vids, it has democratized the process. So where if you are into someone or something, you can find it instead of being told by the studios, this is what you can watch. So these are the people that you should watch. These are the people who you should uh, give your money to. Now there is so much choice that now we are informing the studios these are the people that you should be putting on camera because they have the following. They're the ones who are getting people buying their scenes or wherever. They have the social media engagement. So it's interesting because music industry works that way now too, but I don't think it's as effective just because of their model. But I think this, because I was out in Carmela Clutch a couple months ago, and sort of the same thing. It was because of the direct to consumer OnlyFans, now fans are demanding these companies to shoot scenes with these individuals. And I
Right.
think that right there is such a pivotal shift in the industry because now the fans very much are dictating who the studios work with rather than the studios telling the fans, "Oh, this is the type of woman you should want. This type of content is what you should have, and this is what we're going to shoot, and this is what we're going to do, or we're going to push this boundary." Like, no, this is what we want because you have all the receipts to say these are the sort of scenes that sell.
Yeah.
This is what kind of brand name I have. So now the studio say, "Hey, okay, we're going to shoot with this person. This is what they bring to the table. These are sort of scenes, and these are sort of fans they have." And we know that, and this is what I'm thinking. Okay, even if we get a 12% conversion on her fan base, we still make a buttload of money. So all of that is right there for them to really utilize because the fans are speaking every single day.
Right. And I guess the whole theory of strength in numbers,
Right.
I'm always flattered when I have fans who tag me with a major studio and they're like, we really want you to shoot with Bella Lexi. Like, and they don't have a problem saying it out loud on social media. And it's it's an honor to think that people want to see me continue doing what I'm doing and they know I love it. And
Right.
I think that that shows in my work, and I think that that's what kind of pushes for them to ask for more.
Right. Right. And like I said, the internet age, streaming age, it has its pitfalls. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But I think that at least as far as consumer demand is economics at its core, consumers are demanding XYZ and companies now respond and they can't dictate it the other way like it used to. And I think, at least in this industry, I think that's a really good thing.
Absolutely. I mean, and why not listen to your consumer?
Right.
That's one thing that the internet really did, no matter what your consumer base is. The more people are talking about your Hostess Twinkies, or the more they are
Mhm.
talking about your favorite potato chip, or
Right.
whatever it is, people are talking about it and people are listening. And
Right.
I think that that is one thing that has completely changed, and it affected the adult industry as well.
Right. I agree.
Mhm.
Speaking of consumers and influencers, let's talk about something I talk about that I'm an influence. I hate that word. I'm just a dude that talks about the stuff that he likes.
Like
What are
fragrance.
Yes, exactly. Oh, you did your research. So
I did do my research.
what are some of your favorite fragrances?
For men, I really love, if it works with their chemistry, obviously, the
Mhm.
Mont Blanc.
Okay.
Uh, oh, love it. And then for women, I'm a huge fan of J'adore and Tiffany. I mean, no one can go wrong with Tiffany, right?
True.
So,
True.
yeah, I'm pretty basic. I don't have anything quite extreme, but fragrance is very important, and it activates the pheromones. And I mean, you can't discount its value for sure.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Now, who are you outside of Lieutenant Bella Lexi? Who are you at home?
I am an avid sports mom. I try very hard not to miss, now that I have the ability to attend their sports stuff. I don't miss hardly anything. I have both my kids play on travel sports teams, so we're on the road all summer, traveling from state to state. And in addition to that, I love all, professional sports. I'm a huge football fan, basketball fan, hockey fan, love college basketball. You name it, I'm huge into sports. And then I spend my free time that I do have playing golf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So still, I'm a friend, I'm, a spouse, but first and foremost, I'm a mom. And that time goes by so quickly.
That
And
does.
I am like, I mean, I have a kiddo who's looking at colleges, and I'm like, wait, no.
I'm not quite there yet, but I know it's coming eventually, and
Yeah,
I'm not looking forward to it.
yeah, exactly. So, but like, I mean, and I'm fortunate enough that when we do travel on the road, I can take my clubs.
Mhm.
And so in between tournament games or whatever, we can sneak off and play a couple rounds of golf. I'm your regular mom. I drive a Ford Expedition that can hold all the gear, and so, but I'm very present, and for that, I'm lucky I have that opportunity now, for sure.
That sounds awesome. Well, Bella, I want to thank you for your time. Tell everyone where they can find you.
The easiest way to find me and all of my socials and paid pages and everything is just go to my website, therealbellalexi.com. And it has everything about me. It has some links about my story. It has access to all of my stuff. So one stop shop right there.
Thank you very much. You'll find that it'll probably flash on the screen right there at the bottom. But if you didn't see it, it's down in the links below. Thank you very much for your time, Bella. Webster Style, the man voice fragrance, and we are out. And that was my interview with Bella Lexi. Definitely check her out if you're interested. As you see, she is into fragrances, and obviously, I'm into fragrances too. And I had the fortune of being invited to a private fragrance meetup a few weeks ago, and there I got to sample a couple of fragrances and learn a little bit more about fragrances. And one fragrance that I just had to get a sample of was one from Chris Collins that I've been very interested in, and this is my what's remaining of my sample of the fragrance African Rooibos, and this is one that I'd heard about, but when I smelled it when I was there, it smelled better than I even thought it would, which was probably impossible. I really have enjoyed getting my nose on the Chris Collins fragrances, and I've loved how they have smelled and performed as well. Well, this one is a different take on Chris Collins fragrances for me than I've experienced, because this is a spicy, woody one. A lot of the other ones that I have experienced and talked about have been very much incensey, oody, no spicy woody. So with this one, you have major chords of spiciness, woodiness, smokiness, sweet, and it's fresh. It's definitely fresh. It's deceivingly fresh. You start off with top notes of black pepper, cardamom, and then bergamot. Heart notes of Rooibos tea and orris butter, and then base notes of cedarwood, tonka bean, and immortale absolute. Now, this is one that with these notes, you get the spice of it, you get the freshness of it, especially I think that comes from that tea. That orris butter also gives kind of a iris note as well, so you smell that. And it's so aromatic. Like I'm wearing it now and I just continuously smell it over and over again. And it's been on for a couple of hours now. So it's definitely one that has very good longevity. But of course, that's something that I've seen with every single Chris Collins fragrance that I have worn thus far. And it's really beautiful. I'm not sure where I would wear this though. I could wear this to the office. This is not a this is one that I could wear on several occasions. Probably not a black tie. I would something maybe a bit more quieter. This is a bit loud with its freshness and the spice, at least to my nose, that I may not wear this at a black tie event, but definitely casual. Definitely something that I'm going out and about. Definitely something that I think could be very seductive as well with the spice and the cleanness. Dare I say a little bit of green in this, at least to my nose, but all in all, this is another banger from the house of Chris Collins. Definitely, if you can get yourself a sample of this, and I know Chris Collins has a bunch of different options for sample packs on the website at very reasonable prices, so definitely check it out. No, I don't have a discount code, but if I get one, I will let you know. Speaking of discounts, there are a couple different ways you can support Webster Style. You can definitely check us out and support at the following links. You can check us out on what is it? What is it called? What's it called? What's it called? What's it called? Basil and Sage. That's right. Basil and Sage. Get yourself a premium subscription box with a load of black-owned products. Use the code SartorianGeek10 for 10% off your purchase. You can also get 10% off your purchase from one of my favorite coffee brands. It's local to me, but not so much local to you. El Viejo Coffee. Make sure you use the code Webster Style for 10% off your first purchase. Also, Pete and Pedro, make sure you use the link in the show notes to get 10% off your first purchase. And, well, make sure you also check out Go Tyler's $1 Million Collar. You can use the code Webster Style to get 10% off your first purchase as well. Pretty much all of those I have purchased for myself, and I love each and every one of their products. Make sure you check me out all around the web. Check me out here, of course, every single week, couple times a week, but also check me out over at Nerds Rule the World with the NRW on Nerds Rule the World. NRW Checkpoint, myself, Brian Sapp, talking about the latest and greatest in video games. And then you check check me out with the legend Kuya P and the voiceover king Sean Mongold over at Kayfabe Baby, the NRW Bring Generals podcast, where we talk about wrestling all day, every day. AEW, WWE, NXT, ROH, TNA. If it's wrestling, we talk about it. Make sure you follow me on social media at Webster Style on Instagram and Twitter, and then _Webster Style on TikTok. Make sure, again, anything and everything that is Webster Style is going to be at websterstyle.com. Drop me an email if you're so inclined at info@websterstylemagazine.com. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your listening ear. Remember, stay safe out there and be blessed.
Ah, you're a killer. Ooh, I mean, it's